The conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
Okay, hey, be sure when we come on the air that nobody mentions he's the whistleblower guy. Yeah, if you hear his name come up on the show, if one of the callers mentioned it, just hit the delay edit button. Apparently nobody's supposed to utter the guy's name. Yeah, so anyhow, yeah, it's a big deal on YouTube and Facebook. They're banning everything. Yeah, that's right. So if anybody talks about Eric, that's ERICCIAR, be sure you don't mention that name. That's right, yeah, just be sure it doesn't get broadcast today. Oh, we're live. Welcome to the Russ Betts Show. Hello, everybody out there. Listeners, ignore all that. If you just heard all that commentary about this guy that we're not supposed to mention, just remove it from your mind. Sorry, I didn't know we were on the air. Well, yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I'm just playing with you here. But, hey, what's all this silliness going on with the... we've got this guy's name out there. It's been out there for weeks. And we're all supposed to not talk about it. We're not supposed to mention this guy's name. What is this nonsense going on with this impeachment deal? It's just getting so absurd. But anyhow, if you hear me mention the name, just know that we're not all supposed to mention that and just forget it. And Mr. Producer, be sure you hit that delay edit button so that name gets removed from our broadcast. I don't want to violate anything here. I mean, forget the name's already out there. Everybody in Washington knew about it. And we're not going to get into too much of that here because we don't focus on that. But, man, I came across this article. It was actually somebody posted on Facebook that Facebook was deleting any and all mentions of the name of the person who has been identified as the whistleblower. And they say mention of the potential whistleblower's name violates Facebook's coordinating harm policy. I don't know what that. It prohibits material that could identify a witness, informant, or activist. Name's already out there. Come on. Okay, so the guy's running around going, well, 1,000 other places have mentioned me, but I don't have to be mentioned on Facebook. And that caught my attention. I thought it was odd. I know that there was some commotion last week about certain people mentioning him and tweeting out the guy's name and all kinds of commotion. And I mean, if you're familiar with the Drudge Report, it was mentioned there. It was mentioned on, well, it's just a whole bunch of places. In fact, I got a stack of articles here. I got The Hill, which is a regular publication dealing with talking about news in Washington and Congress. And there's a name right in the headline. An alleged whistleblower was a Biden guest at the State Department banquet. And then you got, I don't know, it just goes on and on and on. It just gets to be so much silliness. What do we got here? I printed out way more pages on this than I really ever intend to get into, but you got people digging into visitor logs, figuring out where this guy has been, who he is. That was all out. That was out weeks ago. His name's out there, and then you got, The Hill mentioned him. You got the Washington Examiner mentioned him. Breitbart News mentioned him, and then somebody here is attributing the first mention to Real Clear Politics. If you go to that site, they're the ones who can provide you all the polling data, and they have a good long list of articles, and apparently the name's been out there for weeks. But we're not supposed to mention it on Facebook, or you'll end up in Facebook jail. Apparently, if you post something that's offending to Facebook policy, you get put in Facebook jail. Facebook jail is where nobody can see anything that you write. You can still see what they write. You can still see what's being posted, but you can't post. I think it's for a period of 10 days or something like that. I've never been in Facebook jail. I always post very carefully and properly. But anyhow, you got this nonsense going on, and I'm just wondering. We got all this national silliness going on. Meanwhile, I'm getting a gazillion cell phone calls, junk phone calls coming into my phone, 6, 10 a day. That's rendering my cell phone useless. Maybe that might be something more interesting to work on. All right, I know there's a bunch of people out there that think this impeachment thing is like the most serious thing going on in the world, and that's about 15% of you. And then there's another 15% on the other end of the spectrum that think that this is absolutely the most horrible thing going on in the world, trying to usurp an election or whatever it is the claim is. There's a bunch of people in the middle that are just going, why does my cell phone keep getting all these calls? Can't somebody fix that? Can't Congress do something useful, something that's going to make a difference in my life? And then it just comes down to thinking, maybe we're just going to move on because, well, we really don't want to talk about impeachment here. It's, everybody else is talking about it. Go ahead. I just had a little fun with it here because I thought it was odd that you can't mention somebody's name. I'm not supposed to mention. Okay, don't mention that name. If anybody calls in, if you call in today, do not mention Eric's name or you're going to get deleted. We might even put you in iHub Radio jail. Who knows? But, all right, so we're going to go on.